Hello, and welcome to LikeANativeSpeaker. In this week's lesson, we're going to be addressing that Canadian stereotype saying things like Oot and Aboot. It's pretty common to hear or see on American TV a Canadian character with a really strong accent, particularly regarding the sound ow. Many times you'll hear it pronounced oot. Oot and Aboot is the most common phrase they use to make fun of us. Of course, I've never actually met a Canadian who ever said Oot and Aboot, but this exaggerated stereotype is based on a real idea. This idea is called Canadian raising. Raising means getting higher, and in this case is actually referring to the jaw and tongue. Canadian raising, we pronounce sounds higher in our mouth. Specifically, we do this with two sounds, ow and I. When I pronounce these diphthongs by themselves, I pronounce them in their pure sound, ow and I. But when we put them into words, we actually change it a little bit. Whenever we have the ow sound followed by a voiceless, meaning no voice, consonant sound, the sound is raised. So ow becomes ow. For example, out and about. It's much more relaxed. It sounds more like the schwa sound. If this sound, however, is followed by a voiced consonant, we don't raise it. Down and around. Out and about, down and around. Out, down. About, around. Notice that big difference. With a voiced consonant after, the sound is really big. Down, around. But with a voiceless consonant after, it's much smaller. The sound is raised. Out, about. And it's exactly the same for the I sound. If I say eyes with a voiced sound, z, then it's the pure form of the diphthong, I, eyes. But if I'm talking about that slippery stuff, ice, ice, it's a much different sound. Eyes, ice. Eyes, ice. Another example of this, rise, rice. Rise, rice. Over time, this raised pronunciation got heard, misunderstood, and exaggerated to become oot. You can kind of hear where the exaggeration comes from. Pure sound, out. Canadian raised sound, out. Exaggerated sound, oot. Quickly reviewing, Canadian raising is when Canadians take two sounds, I and ow, and raise them in the mouth. The tongue is higher when we pronounce those sounds if there is a voiceless consonant after. If the consonant sound after is voiced, we pronounce it in the pure form, I, ow. So that's Canadian raising, a natural and important part of the Canadian accent. Do you think Canadian raising and a different Canadian accent is a myth? Do we sound exactly the same as Americans? If you think so, put it down in the comments. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. And as always, I'll see you Oot and Aboot, and keep learning.